When you spend every waking moment with someone, their presence can easily become white noise. You know exactly how they're going to respond to a joke, what they'll order for dinner, and how they sigh when they're tired. That predictability is supposed to feel safe, but to a certain type of mind, it feels like an anchor. You might be sitting inches away on the same couch. Call this a deactivating strategy. When someone with an avoidant attachment style starts to feel too secure, their subconscious perceives that closeness as a loss of independence, so it actively starts searching for ways to create distance. Suddenly, the way your partner clears their throat is unbearable. Their taste in movies seems intellectually lazy. Your ego begins collecting these microscopic annoyances, building a meticulous case for why you are incompatible. You convince yourself that you're settling. The constant, reliable presence of another human being has tricked your brain into devaluing the intimacy you once chased, framing it instead as a direct threat to your freedom. So you initiate the conversation. You pack the boxes. You walk away. And in those first few hours, your brain floods your system with dopamine. You step outside, take a deep, unrestricted breath, and feel the weight of another person's expectations lift off your shoulders. It feels like absolute liberty. Your rational mind surveys the situation and declares a victory. You've successfully removed a source of friction from your life, creating space for whatever or whoever comes next. But that relief is a biological illusion. It's a temporary high masking a devastating psychological crash that is waiting for you, usually just a few weeks down the road. Fast forward a month. The thrill of having the bed entirely to yourself has worn off. The apartment is quiet, and in that silence, your brain begins a subtle, involuntary editing process. The psychologist Daniel Kahneman identified a split in how we process our lives. We have an experiencing self that lives in the present moment, the self that felt suffocated. But we also have a remembering self that curates the past. The remembering self suffers from a cognitive glitch known as duration neglect. It systematically deletes the months of frustration, the petty arguments, and the creeping boredom. Instead, it highlights the few moments of pure connection. This creates what attachment researchers term the phantom X. The flawed, irritating, breathing human you broke up with is gone. In their place is an impossibly perfect, idealized ghost that you cannot compete with. To protect itself from the reality of being isolated, your brain rewrites your own history. It transforms the person you discarded into an irreplaceable loss. This is when the behavior shifts. You catch yourself checking their social media at 2 a.m. to see if they're online. You start rereading text messages from 2 years ago, searching for the warmth you threw away. Lying awake in the darkness of your room, illuminated only by the harsh blue glow of a screen, the anxiety starts to build. This distress is driven by the attachment system, a biological mechanism designed to ensure our survival. In prehistoric times, people who relied only on themselves were likely to end up as prey. Proximity to a partner was a matter of life and death. Because the emotional brain still operates on this ancient logic, it interprets your sudden isolation as a severe biological threat. Imaging scans reveal that the brain registers this social rejection in the same areas it uses to process physical injury. The sensation of a caving chest or a gut punch is your physiology reacting to the departure of an attachment figure as a genuine trauma. Your rational defenses have entirely collapsed. The logic that once convinced you of your own independence has vanished, leaving you completely exposed to your own primal dependency. Then comes the realization that seals the trap. This person didn't drift away, and they weren't taken from you. You actively pushed them out, and now they are entirely unreachable. You are now at the mercy of the halo effect and the principle of scarcity. When a person is permanently removed from your life, their absence artificially inflates their perceived value to an unattainable high. Looking at this chart, you can see the brutal math of human desire. As physical availability drops towards zero, represented by the plunging line, the perceived psychological value of that person violently spikes upward. The grieving process has become misdirected. The object of your mourning is no longer the flawed, real human who left your apartment. It is the flawless, manufactured phantom that absence has created. We are tragically wired to require the acute pain of absolute absence just to accurately measure the depth of our own attachments. Eventually, the panic burns out, leaving behind a heavy, quiet stillness. You reach an emotional plateau where you have to accept that the damage you've done to the connection cannot be undone, and now you sit in the quiet of your own making, paralyzed by the crushing weight of regret. This is the bitter irony of the Phantom X. The desperate yearning that is tearing you apart was entirely self-inflicted. The person you now feel you need most to survive is gone, and you were the one who unlocked the door.